Come, open the bloody door. Let me out and I'll show you.
Anno Mutationem is an action RPG set in a cyberpunk world. The story of Anno follows Anne Flores, a bartender/mercenary on a mission to find her brother. Its unique art style is a combination of 2D and 3D pixels. The game seamlessly switches between the two in different environments. Combat is always in the 2D format, while exploration is usually in 3D. The result is fresh and unlike many things I've seen before. The visuals are gorgeous, from the neon-lit cities of Noctis to the moss-covered sewers you may find yourself trapped in. The majority of the storytelling is having conversations with other characters. The cutscenes are few and far between. At first I was asking myself if this was going to be one of those games where I just wanted to play the action beats and enjoy the visuals, but I ended up being pretty invested in the modes of storytelling early on. Not only is the world compelling, but so are the characters. Sometimes there are some issues with the script. The writing is not always tuned up. There are some repeating lines or just saying the same thing in different ways.
Board, the ship is ready. Ah, there you are. Get on board.
Not everything is like this though. I really enjoyed most of the conversations between characters. There's a fun and playful dialogue that grows the characters and the story. One minor gripe I do have is with your companion character, Anne. She is the living trope of the anime sidekick character. Your Paimon, if you know what I mean.
Paimon's exhausted.
Anne has way too much energy, and in times of stress, she makes situations worse. Her overenthusiasm gets tiresome very quickly. I've been looking forward to playing Anno from the first time we saw it at a PlayStation showcase about a year ago. It takes about 20 minutes in game before we get to the first combat tutorial. Off the rip, the movement felt a little stiff and not as fluid as I would have liked it. Going into the second combat mission on the construction rooftops, you are able to put everything you have learned so far to the test. The combat is fun. Using the gun as a ranged weapon and a sword for most of your attacks is a good balance. After another 30 minutes or so, the greatsword is introduced. It's a heavy sword that deals big damage but is very slow to wind up. Using all three of these options in combination is a great time. After unlocking all these starting weapons, the skill tree is introduced, giving you just enough to do a couple upgrades. Taking a look at everything you can unlock, I immediately knew I had to prioritize upgrades that focused on movement because that is what I felt was lacking. After unlocking a sidestep dash attack, the combat started to feel a lot better. After hours of more play, the combat started to improve the more I played it and the more upgrades I got. Double jump, rolling, and dashing all went into making it feel a lot better. By the end of the game, I was flying with combos. The three weapon types all have very different styles inside of them. I quickly upgraded to a triple burst pistol I used the majority of the game. Early on, you can get twin blades as your main sword, and the heavy sword has a load of different looks that have cosmetic attack differences. There are plenty of ways to upgrade these weapons in typical RPG fashion, including buffs to the weapons themselves, weapon crafting, weapon vendors, and simply finding weapons around the map. While there were only 3 main weapon types, there was enough variety to keep me engaged. Another thing to mention when it comes to combat is the challenge. There are some extremely difficult boss encounters here. Make sure you are upgrading as you go, and don't forget, upgrading your defense and attacks is a must. Make sure you're taking enough stims and health into battle, or you have enough materials to craft them when you go in. As I kept playing, I realized how little damage I was doing with my main sword. I spent all of my in-game money on that upgrade to buy a new one. I was worried about doing this at first because I did not want to lose my money for purchases down the line. Thankfully, as the enemies scaled up, so did the payout. If I could offer any advice in this game, do not hoard materials and money. The game is not overly long and you should be spending as you make it. And it was significantly less frustrating if you use what you earn. Something that I did not love about this game is that the skill curve does not feel like you can master it by the time the credits are rolled. The combat feels a bit too reliant on the power of your weapons than the player's ability to understand the combat systems. There's a surprising amount of diversity in the environments and level design of this game. Specifically, there is a section around 70% through the game where you're in an underground science testing lab. The map looks extremely complex with water healing pools spread out too far away. But as you play, the story loops through familiar areas and presents tons of new areas to acquaint yourself with. It made the levels seem much bigger than they actually are. I had no expectations of large areas to explore, but there are plenty of hidden passageways that reward you with materials and collectibles. Early on, there's a pretty cool elevator puzzle that stumped me for a while, but once it clicked, it was so rewarding to learn the mechanics and figure it out. The puzzle was part of a side mission and not mandatory. But if you did complete it, you're rewarded with more upgrade points and currency. Unfortunately, after completion of the game, these puzzles were few and far between, but I did appreciate the few that were present. After completing the game, I noticed there were only a couple PlayStation trophies left to discover. I thought it would be a good idea to go back and try to clean them up to achieve the coveted Platinum Trophy. I will admit that the fighting arena and completion of all the side quests was a great time, and allowed me to fully upgrade Anne with abilities and weapons. But the collectible trophies have become a major pain. Some of the collectibles are unable to be tracked, and many, including myself, have found plenty of glitches in tracking of these collectibles. There's another trophy that involves killing enemies in your super state, but after you complete the game, there are no enemies to be found anywhere. With no inclusion of a New Game Plus, I don't see myself playing all the way through again just to achieve this trophy. So far, the devs have been great about introducing patches to fix little glitches in the game, and I'm hoping these trophies get taken care of immediately. I was able to review this game on a PlayStation 5. Looking into some PS5 specific things, the DualSense support is absolutely here, but at the end of the day, it's nothing revolutionary. The haptic feedback is solid, but I wish it used the adaptive triggers. It's a bit underutilized. For a PlayStation and PC exclusive, I expect more features to be taken advantage of, especially when it's not on Xbox or Switch. In the 12 to 15 hours it took me to complete Anno, I never felt bored. Its gorgeous visuals and fun plot always kept me engaged. The writing occasionally drops the quality of the story, but never deterred me from playing through the credits. The combat improves the longer you play the game, but it's not the tightest combat ever. Before the credits roll, a tease for a potential sequel plays. Anno is an incredible starting place for a series. I'd expect the sequel to have some major improvements from this game, and I can't wait to see how it builds off the framework. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to Strictly Casual, we cover games, movies, TV, streaming, and everything else. You can check out our weekly gaming news podcast, Checkpoint, or our weekly film podcast, Freeze Frame, in the description below. Make sure to subscribe for updates on everything new. We'll see you next time.